I'm not even sure where the door is or if I'm at the right door. So this is something that happens to me every single time when I'm trying to go and look for galleries in the Upper East Side in New York. As a person who's been going to galleries for like at least 15 years, I just don't seem to be able to get through doors. And I really am starting to go and feel like every time I go to the Upper East Side, like it's not even just like metaphorical. It's like physically, I cannot get through the door. And I cannot tell you, like, I'm just like there texting my friends being like, I don't know about the right place. Like, I don't actually know how to get in. So let me tell you what this is. Usually, like, there are maps telling you where the galleries are, or like you're just looking up the location on Google Maps, right? So you're standing in front of that physical location, meaning that like the number of the address matches, and you're looking at the door and you're thinking, okay, so where's the buzzer? Because in the Upper East Side, it's very common that the doors aren't marked. The buzzer doesn't work. I ring, and this is, I don't understand why every single time there seems to be pouring rain, like pouring. So between like the construction noises, between the rain, between me holding the umbrella, trying to figure out whether I'm at the right place or not, going up the steps into this unmarked door, pressing the buzzer that I don't know whether it's rung or not. Then nothing happens. And then I hear a buzzer like that says that you can enter. You push the door, it doesn't open. You pull the door, it doesn't open. So I'm like furious at this point thinking, oh my God, can I just like not enter? This is literally typically what happens every time I go into the Upper East Side. And it doesn't really matter, right? Because it seems like the system just isn't designed for me to get in. And I really understand why people are just like, I can't get in. It's like, I physically cannot push the door or pull the door, even if I'm standing outside the door to get in. So today we're going to talk about access, because it's not even about metaphorical access. It's like literal access that I cannot get in into the architecture of the galleries that is mirroring me psychologically, the institutional barriers that I think a lot of people experience. Between everything that happens of the unmarked brownstones, the lifts that, or these buzzers, the security system, which by the way, I'm so sure that they can like see me in the camera and they're just like, what is she doing? And I'm just like, I can't hear anything. And then, oh, by the way, then there are so many times then I've gotten in, and then I'm squeaking because I'm like the only person who's walking through the gallery. And like I said, it's absolutely pouring outside. And then you're the only person squeaking along the way. And you're so embarrassed, or I'm so embarrassed walking through the galleries. And so now it's just like in every like essence of my body, it's signaling I just shouldn't be here. And you know, it's really difficult when there are buildings or like the structure of the system is just designed to go and keep you out. And in like, if we think about this in the art world, like in some sort of like a group language, it's some sort of like a hidden code. It's like you're either in or you're out, or like in the social media world, it's like, if you know, you know. And I feel like I know, but then somehow I get in and I'm just like, oh my God, what's happening here? So when there is some sort of barrier to access and you physically can't be able to like identify opportunities, and let alone if you can't even identify opportunities, you can't get validated and you can't even start a conversation. It's super frustrating, right? Because you're hearing this over and over and over again that people are like, oh, you need to go and network, and you need to go and like show up, you need to go and email, you need to go and do all these things. Again, as a person who's done this for a long enough time, and I think that partly where I may have had a very different experience trying to get into the system and actually being able to get through the system, is that I didn't start my career in New York. I started my career, well, firstly in LA doing my undergrad there, and then going to London, where the doors were actually marked very clearly. I knew exactly how to go into the doors. As a matter of fact, I was saying this to somebody, it's like, I now only endure go into buildings that are on ground level because I can see the door, and usually the door is glass. So I know that I can actually push or pull when I'm trying to get into these galleries. Oh, it makes me so silly. But it really is true. And it makes it much more like inviting is not the right word, but at least I know that like the visual cues as to how to get in, like the barriers are less frustrating. So this is something that I've actually been thinking about. And I've had conversations with other colleagues or peers in different parts of the market. So dealers, people who are working in institutions, and talking about like access and what that would actually look like in 2025 for artists to get into the market. Well, first off, the first question is like, which market are you actually trying to get into? But is there a different way to actually get through the doors? And maybe the doors aren't even doors anymore. So let's make one thing clear. It's not so much that it's not your fault that you can't get in. It's more like there's some sort of a signal. You didn't miss the door. It's not necessarily that you're always underprepared or that you're not qualified. But we have to go and reframe and think about what happens when you stop trying to enter the room and you start building your own instead. And what if access isn't the goal, but the redefinition is? And so often, because we're fed this narrative in art school that we think, okay, we finish art school, then we magically get into the system, which is not true. How can we actually figure out where the door is? Or how do we actually lower the barrier to get closer to the door? Because the market is shifting and we understand that everything currently is in flux. And something that we've been thinking about is, what if we're much more interested in having access that actually redefines business models for artists, that you're not knocking on the door and trying to go and figure out where the buzzer is, and then you press the buzzer and you think that you can get in, but you can't. And so much of that, like what we're thinking about, is these different models to actually build your own room rather than you're standing in the rain and trying to enter instead. So here are some things for you to go and think about. Where are you in your practice? And have you internalized this logic of exclusion? What systems are you still trying to go and gain approval from, and also why? What would it look like to go and create a space that is welcoming for you? When was the last time you made your audience also feel safe and seen? What doors are you knocking on? And do they lead to where you think that you want to go to? And if you've never gotten in, what would you like to build instead? We have to remember that a lot of the system was built specifically to keep people out. And I understand why they've done that. A lot of the reason is that it's really about, are you willing to go and do the work? And I think a lot of times now, like what work looks like is very different, and willing to go and do work might be more flexible than it was, say, like 15 years ago. So if that door doesn't open, maybe it's not a door. Maybe it's actually a mirror. And we should actually start thinking about how to go and build your own practice in a different way that allows for you to open your own doors. That's it for this one. I'll see you at the next one. Bye.